Hi, and welcome to another episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty, and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the lands and airwaves where this conversation takes place. Land which was never ceded, land where communities came together to eat seasonally, locally, and without exhausting resources. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and rising. Today I'm talking to Nornie Bero from Mabu Mabu. Nornie's from the Meriam people of Meriam Island in the Torres Strait, and is the executive chef, CEO and owner of Mabu Mabu. Nornie has been a professional chef for more than 25 years and draws inspiration from her cultural heritage and from the abundance of natural resources she grew up with and now champions. Nornie's cooking style reflects her passion for using local sustainable ingredients and traditional and modern techniques to create contemporary, creative dishes that tell a story, her story. Nornie has published a book, Mabu Mabu, an Australian Kitchen Cookbook, which is a guide to using native flavours in everyday cooking. Mabu Mabu means help yourself, and this reflects Nornie's generous approach to cooking and life. On May 23rd, Nornie is joining forces with the Stomping Ground team for a Good Beer Week event where they'll present a multi-course Torres Strait Island feast inspired by a creation story. Each course will link to different elements of the story and will include seafood, native meats, as well as native ingredients from across Australia. Nornie is an incredible storyteller, and I was hanging off her every word in this conversation. This event will certainly be a memorable one. Make sure you go to the Good Beer Week website and book your tickets. But listen to the podcast first. Hi Nornie, I'm Jo.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So dizzy earrings on.
I have. I love my House of Dizzy earrings. I like to wear them.
I know my House of Dizzy.
You do. Well, people actually, I get lots of comments on it, but you're the first person who's known what they were.
Christy from House of Dizzy and I are home girls.
Yeah, oh right.
The Stomping Ground team is really amazing here.
Well, maybe let's start with that. Like, how do you know them to work in with them? You seem to know them all.
Stomping Ground is like when I opened up Big Esso. They, I didn't go to any other beer company. I came and I sat with Cassie and I said, I don't have a beer plan, but I want you to be my main beer supplier. And she went, what? You don't have a beer? I said, no, I want you to say yes. I want to work with, Stomping Ground because they do amazing things in the community. They work with like small little growers to make different beers out there. They are in the gay community. They're in the Indigenous community, and they sort of build things and do these one-off things with great things. And I wanted to work with like a women-led sort of Cassie and guys from Black Heart and Sparrows as well. And so, yeah, I sort of walked in here and I set up a meeting with them. And I said, I want you to be, I don't have a beef plan.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, so and our relationship has sort of grown from there. And we've like now made, beer together, and now we're doing this amazing event as well that tells a story about where I grew up, but also where I'm from. Yeah. So it's two different islands, and the story is told through this. The story is told through the meal.
Yeah, no, I was reading about that, and I feel like I'm all about stories at the moment. Everywhere I turn, it's all about storytelling. I guess that's what I like. I like to hear other people's stories as well. So, and I was actually looking up. So you're saying two islands. I looked up Mer. Is it Mer Island?
Mer, yeah.
Mer
So I'm from Mer. So Gelamin lands on Mer at the end, but starts on Moa Island.
Okay.
And then goes from Moa to Mer.
Are they neighbouring, or are they?
No, they're very far apart actually. Like Mer is like the furthest island away from, like near Great Barrier Reef at the edge of that, and Moa is more close to probably the tip of Cape York, and in a cluster.
Yeah.
Because there's like over 25 inhabited islands, so it's in a cluster with Badu and Moa, and you can see it from TI and Prince of Wales and Friday Island and stuff.
And do people go between the islands?
Yep.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
And and I guess share food and stories. Is
Yep.
that how it works?
Well, because majority of the clusters of islands is that they have different dialects as well.
Oh wow!
So
yeah.
we speak different languages.
Yeah.
I speak Meriam, and then there's Karalag. There's different languages as you go. Buigu, Saipai, they all have different languages that we think, but we all speak a Creole.
Okay. Yeah.
To as well.
Yeah. And food-wise, do the islands, can you grow, like, what's the food
it's
situation?
tropical.
Yeah, so
it's tropical. We grew up with all the tropical natives, like everything from sorpis to wangais to sea almonds, wild passion fruits, yams, taros.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I grew up, I actually grew up on the islands. I came down to mainland Australia for high school.
Oh, okay.
But I'm born and bred up there. So, I grew up eating a vast amount of things, from clams to everything that comes out of the ocean.
Yeah.
We just grew up with traditional food.
Yes.
And like my dad was really cool. He taught me how to make a lot of traditional food, and my aunts and stuff. But we just eat whatever the land gives us.
Yeah.
And the ocean gives us, and that's how you grew up. And I guess at a young age I used to pickle a lot. I used to skip confirmation classes, and when my dad sent me the confirmation class, and I would be pickling tamarinds and fresh tamarinds off the tree and mangoes and stuff, and I'd be shaking it up, putting it in the jars, and
That with salt or with
with all kinds of things, like soy sauce, sugars, and then I would go out on the reef in the morning, get fresh octopus, bring it home, and then pickle it so that I would eat the days before, and I'd put them in jars and stuff. So
it's amazing. It's almost it's such curiosity, isn't it? It's sort of almost like science to see what would happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, kids like us, we grow up with a vast palate.
Yeah.
We eat everything from oysters off the rocks to periwinkles to, the palate is just massive for us.
Yeah.
We don't now it's great for me too, because now as an adult I look at everything and taste everything and try everything.
Yeah.
Because we just have a big palate. You see these kids growing up in the Torres Strait are eating turtle cooked in blood, or dugong, or they're eating liver. They don't waste anything, and they're eating fresh fruit off the trees. Whatever they go out and they just drag nets, and they're only 10.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's not even that it's seasonality; they're just doing it because that's what there is at that time, and they're out there.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah.
So we just live off whatever is there, and we only take what we need, and seasons come, obviously, as seasons go, but we enjoy it for the seasons when it comes, and then when the season is done, well, the next one comes along. So we already grew up in this sort of seasonality and
totally.
Kind of growing up, having your own food in the backyard, or digging it up, or going out and catching it yourself. And you just don't know any different, though.
That's right. Yeah. So in bringing that to what you do here, is it easy to translate?
Well, it is, because I think it's the consumer. So I just want to teach the consumer to have stuff in the seasons. And we always talk about seasonality, but it's always a bit boring sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they're seasonality, oh yeah, pumpkin. You can eat pumpkin every day of the week. Yeah. Do something different. And it's our fault, it's our fault as consumers that we want to have a tomato all year round, instead of having it at its best. Or mangoes just at, Christmas time comes, I'm yes, cherries and mangoes. That's when I want to be eating it. I don't want a mango in July. June, Just don't give it to me. Let's enjoy it when it comes.
Absolutely.
So what I try and do as part of my business, I guess, is I work with the native seasons as well as the regular seasons, and I tweak as much as I want. If the season is short and it's a native season and it's only going to be there for 3 weeks, well then you only get it for 3 weeks. And then I will tweak it. I'll change the menu to suit that. Oh, we've enjoyed it. Thanks. It's gone now. come back next year and enjoy it again.
Yeah. And was it easy to adapt to the what's found here on
Melbourne?
Wurundjeri land in Bunwurrung? Is it...
Wurundjeri and Burong.
Do you just go and taste things?
No, like
to discover, or
yeah, I do. I go out to the markets. I'm a big visual person, and the way that I create, it's weird because I don't create months ahead. I create on the day because I want to see what is out there on the day, and so I could we could do up a new menu that we're going to execute in just on that day, not that I've been thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
It's because I constantly go to the markets, I constantly see what's out there, and I want to actually follow what's out there.
Yeah.
And I want to make that availability now.
Yeah.
You know, and it works for me, and I like that because then I always am in touch with what's out there, and I see everything with my eyes. So, and I'm like, oh my god, that's delicious, and I'm like, oh, that looks really good. Let's do that. You know, and it's about being a part of that market scene too as well, and understanding it. And I want my chefs to understand it too, that they don't just look it up on the internet and go, what's in season now? I want them to actually go out and see what's there, because there's so much amazing stuff out there. And so it's about thinking outside the box all the time, and because I grew up with yams and all the different types of seafood, and I want to make it sustainable too as well, especially in the seafood industry. So I introduce things like shell life, so like periwinkles, pippies and all those, because those are things that can sustain themselves too as well.
Yeah, right.
And making your menu sustainable, and I use kingfish, but I get it from a farm that is in open water in South Australia. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit more pricey, but the thing is that I want to not overfish. I don't want to think. I want to be a part of the change of how we think of seasonality too as well. So I think of it as a broad perspective, I guess.
Absolutely. And I was thinking too, when you're speaking, a lot of those ingredients and the native ingredients are really good for us as well. I know we're not supposed to use the word superfood anymore, but they are superfoods, aren't they? Things like quandong and mokka seed.
But I mean, like, they're also a part of this land.
That's right.
They're meant to be here.
Yes.
So we're meant to use them.
Yes.
And it's up to us to ask for it, because it is at market. Someone will always have something that is native there. It's just that we don't ask for it. So the more we ask for it, the more it'll be in the market more frequently.
Yeah.
And this stuff grows like wildfire here because it's meant to be here.
Yeah, rather than the hooved animals.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a big believer that you should grow what is good for your state too as well.
Yeah.
If bush tomatoes can't grow here, they can't grow here.
No.
Let's not force that. But yeah, each state has an amazing fruit or spice or stuff, and we should be planting what is best for the soil that we live on.
Well, I was amazed even just on the Mornington Peninsula how many edible, like how much bush tucker there was. We went on a guided tour with Uncle Lionel, and he took us all around, and he was just picking things off here and there and everywhere, and talking about the bulbs that you can pull up, and maybe the orchids, or anyway, that was almost like a potato.
Well, the bulbs actually were all over Mary Creek, and they used to be in the is it the Yarra that runs through the city?
Yes.
So they used to be everywhere, and you know how they call that the mud city now?
Yeah.
Because they dug all that stuff up, and those bulbs used to filter the water and keep it fresh.
Exactly right. I mean,
but they decided to pull all of these like natives out, and those were the filters. You could eat them, but you could filter it, because when you're in the city and you see, underneath it is clean, but above it is dirty.
Yeah, they say because it's an upside down river.
Yeah.
But, I've never really understood that. That actually makes a lot of sense as well.
Well, there used to be a waterfall there, where the hotels are, and the waterfall was basically ripped out, and like the city was put in,
Yeah.
and they took out all the filters, which was these bulbs and the, I guess, the wildlife, because there used to be eels and everything in
Of
there.
course. But I think it was also a really important meeting place and maybe a
Yeah.
point where they could cross over.
Yeah.
My understanding was they were quite big rocks. But,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I think we're to blame, and you see Merry Creek and stuff, and patches of it is really good because they're trying to rejuvenate that. But patch of it, again, they've taken out the ecosystem of these natural plants and everything that were helping let us create like clean water.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're to blame. But the thing is that I think of ourselves too as well, is that we should be the ones making the change, and that's why I guess I create and make people think outside the box when they're eating. And I put things like pig's blood, traditional, wild boar that's cooked in pig's blood, and its own blood and stuff, and I put it on the menu and it sells because I want people to try different things, because I'm not about just the pretty stuff. I want them to eat all of the bits.
And it's interesting, and I don't liken it to French food, but I do remember, when I lived in the south of France a long time ago, and the people there were all about, they're super into seasonality, just in those little villages and living on the land and stuff. And for Christmas we had a civet de sanglier, so a wild boar that had been macerating in blood for 3 days. And so I think it must be a modern society thing where we're just doing this whole, that's awful, and we don't use all the parts and we throw stuff away.
Well, it's because people are picky, or people think because they're paying for food, they can get what they want.
Yeah.
And that's fair. That's a fair thing, But it's also our fault that we, the consumer kind of dictates, what is out there. Even you look at supermarkets, it dictates what we put in supermarkets. And because that's what people are going to buy.
Yeah.
And we're just used to having this over and over and over and over and over things of the same thing.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing, though, it's expanding better. Even in supermarkets, it's expanding now too as well, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And supermarkets then are also supporting farmers now that are growing that stuff just for them.
Yeah.
And that's really cool too.
It's good. I like the optimism.
I think
you have to.
I've been to these farms.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I'm a Coles ambassador, so
okay, great.
And I've been to the farms where they actually make the things, and you can see them, and everybody thinks that like it's, and I understand big supermarkets, they monopolize things and stuff like that, but the thing is that I think you have to look at the broader picture, because farmers need to be supported in every which way. And I buy directly from farmers for my company. Yeah. I barely use the middle guys. I only do it if I'm desperate. But I want to give the farmers 100% of the money.
Yeah.
So I go directly from them and I buy directly from them. I pay all the shipping costs and whatever, because at the end of the day, it's gonna cost me less than going through a wholesaler.
Did you always think you would be you're a businesswoman as well as a chef. Was that always, how did that come about? So how do you go from obviously loving cooking on the islands and then coming to Melbourne, and then now you...
To be honest, I never knew I was going to be in this position. I still think of myself as like a poor kid that grew up in one bedroom with my dad at back of Thursday Island. And I still think that way a lot of the time. Even though I have a very big company now. I have 80 employees in my company.
Amazing.
And I never thought I would be in this position, but I'm a numbers girl, and I wanted to get into this industry because, one, they didn't allow. I grew up in chefing in the 90s, so that's where women weren't welcomed.
Yeah.
And I guess I grew up with a single father too as well. So my dad was like, you're gonna have to fight every which way that you go. Stick to it, make it through.
Yeah.
So I think I overachieve and do a lot more, and I have FOMO, and I sleep very little because I want to achieve as much as I think half of it's because of me and half of it's because my dad never got to achieve what he wanted because we were so poor and he was sick so early. So, and I always had to have a roof over my head from when I was young. So I just had to sort of make it happen.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you grow up in your environment, which then teaches you to be who you are as a human and an adult afterwards. So I'm very grateful that I grew up the way that I did, because it actually now shows in my business. And so when I opened it, it was just basically a story of me growing up.
Yeah.
So every time we do a menu, there's always a little bit of my childhood in it, of me going out, picking, periwinkles myself and all of those things. So and naming my products after my gran and making it to her specifications, because I made it. My first tea that I put out for my products is called Alba's tea, after my gran, who helped raise me when I was a teenager, and she used to like wearing hibiscus flowers in her hair. She was very colourful, and so I made the base of my first tea hibiscus, and put all the natives flavours into it to make the tea. So for me, it's always the story.
Yeah.
It's always the story of me growing up and those little bits, from different products that I've put on the shelf of my career, or what's happened to me, or people that I've worked with and had relationships with, and then it comes out in everything I do, and how I build a venue too, and stuff like that. About, well, I grew up there, so those baskets come from there. That shark comes from there because my aunt had a really lovely husband that was really lovely to me and my stepsisters growing up. So I bought the shark from his island. So it all represents who I am and how I grew up.
Yeah. And how will the storytelling work at the Good Beer Week?
Oh my
event?
God, it's so cool. The Gallup story is so cool. It's like basically, I guess, a bit of a childhood story that we grow up, myths and legends story. It's a creation story and a myths and legends story. And the best thing about, this story is that it can be told through the food.
Yeah.
Because it's about sharing and the food and what they hunt for and eat during it too as well, and where they end up. So bits and pieces as the food comes out is a part of the story. And we create the menu because of the story.
And so you're working in with the crew here.
Yeah, so I'm going to be working with Stomping Ground and their kitchen team here too as well, to curate that menu, to get it so that it will then flow with the story as it's being told.
But do you keep it fairly loose? Because you were saying before you don't like to plan too far in advance, or for something like this, would you have to tie it down a bit?
No, this story is very, it just has, two elements that needs to be in when it comes to food, and then the rest will then tie in.
That's great.
Because this story is I feel like it's a bit of me growing up too as well, because I grew up on Moa, and I believe the story, and I've seen what I think is the evidence of the story. But then I also am from Meriam, where Gallup landed, and we know the story of there, and we believe in the rocks and stuff that are there. So it basically is my whole childhood,
Yeah.
One language I speak and one language I grew up in. So it's this creation story that I sometimes think it represents me.
Beautiful.
Too as well.
And are the beers matching?
Yeah, so we're going to match the beers with it, and I don't know if I can say, but we're working on. I think we might launch another beer together for this, that we're making
using native ingredients. Yeah, amazing.
That we're making together to launch with the on the night too as well.
So exciting. And so what should people expect when they come to that will you be telling the story?
I am. I will be telling the story.
Yeah.
The whole way through, and I guess expect to be taken and sort of the whole idea of this story is for you to feel like you're there. You're that child, you're that mother, and you're in the position of things, because how we do the food is integrated into the story, so you have to be a part of it, the story, and you have the option in the story as well.
Okay.
So it's it's about everybody being part of the story too as well. At some stage as the story gets told, you will be a participant, and you won't even realize it.
Okay.
Of it. But yeah.
What a great idea. And I was reading about it and just I couldn't. Now that you've explained it, I just think, gosh, it's just that we need more of that kind of thing. And I think stories and food bring people together. And I think what a great way of bringing both those elements together.
Yeah, look, I mean, like for me, like these are nursery rhymes or childhood things that, like, and it's also about representing my culture too as well.
Yeah.
And when I started, I didn't realize I was going to make such a big impact of being a Torres Strait Islander, and people who look like me too as well. No matter where you're from, I've got Samoan kids that work for me, all this stuff, and I represent all of them. They look at me and they go, I can do it too.
Yeah.
And I have 12 different nationalities that work for me. I know every single staff member that works for me. I make sure that I know them, have conversations with them, no matter what position they're in, because once upon a time I was them. And for me, it's just, I love culture.
Yeah.
I love the idea that we're all different. And I guess for me, I'm just putting my culture on the map now.
Thank you, and all the best for the 23rd. It sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with Nornie Bero from Mabu Mabu. You can check out all the greatness on Instagram at MABU_AUS. And if I were you, I'd be jumping on the Good Beer Week site and booking tickets to Nornie's event in May. If you liked what you heard and you want to hear more stories from other chefs, I'm on Instagram at Conversation with a Chef, and you can read the chat at www.conversationwithachef.com. I'd love it if you told a friend about my chats, and you can follow me on Apple and Spotify podcasts. Then I know that you've been here. Once again, thanks for listening and have a great day.